There isn't a thing people of Foxfen sooner or later won't compare to food. Food is our native language and our reason to live. If you look at marriage, for instance, we've got breakfast, the meal to start it all, and that would be the wedding ceremony. Dinner, the biggest, loudest, and most filling meal of the day, that's the glimmering. And then supper, an optional, quiet meal you share with your family or eat in lonely peace, and that stands for the weaving. Personally, I prefer to compare this to the appetizer, the main course, and the delicious dessert that makes it all complete. But to each their own. Rallis and Vyomi's glimmering began soon after the wedding ceremony was over. And though its name might sound ominous, it's just the opposite. It's the sparkiest of celebrations. It requires two things: buckets of glitter and sunset. The happy couple danced in the light of the dying sun, and the guests blew and threw handfuls of shiny dust at them, until the married glimmered like a couple of glowbugs in heat. It was really rather pretty. Once fully covered in the dust of love, Rallis and Vyomi shared a long kiss, as romantic as it could get, with every aunt, uncle, and thrice removed cousin watching. We clapped, we cheered, we gleefully forced a few more awkward moments, and delighted in the newlyweds' consternation as they had to obey. Rules are rules. And then the main course truly began. Eat, dance, and drink till you do something you'll probably regret the next day. It was a great way to spend an evening. But this time, I had different plans. I took a seat by a lonely table and began rehashing the plan in my head. Remember that thing about us not being mages here? Well, it wasn't completely true. I had been dabbling in the arts for a good few years now. And though, okay, I sometimes lacked motivation to do it right, or to do it at all, I picked up a thing or two on the good days. That should be enough to conduct the ritual. As soon as the weaving began, I'd have to... "Hey there, Miss Misery!" Rallis sashayed towards me across the dance floor, leaving Vyomi to show his moves off to a bunch of laughing children. "Get up!" "I'm pondering." "Bah!" She grabbed my hand and pulled me up. I gave in instantly, for contrary to everything Rallis liked to shout, yell, and holler, she and Mrs. Baizan were of the same blood. I could scratch and bite, but eventually I would end up swirling on the floor with her like a good puppet. So, wisely, I spared myself the futile struggle. "What are you pondering?" she asked me, circling me with cat-like dance moves. "Happiness." I didn't lie. "Yeah, right," Rallis laughed. "Oh, that reminds me. Have you heard about Lania?" "Gossip! Oh, I love me some gossip. If only we were also lying down and stuffing our faces instead of moving, I'd be in heaven." "What about her?" "She left Andik just yesterday." Well, that came out of nowhere. "But why?" I asked. I actually honestly expected Andik to hitchhike on the romance train and propose to Lania during Rallis's glimmering. "The pearl merchant," she answered. My eyes widened. "No way." "Yes way. I knew there was something going on there," she said. "He'd been coming to Foxfen every week, even though we haven't bought a single pearl." She paused for a second and asked, "What?" And I realized I'd stopped dancing. "I think I should feel guilty," I said, frowning. "I was the one that introduced them." "You were? Man, I didn't know they would fall in love. Though he was pretty dreamy." "Sometimes I think it's not just our urban legend, and you really do bring bad luck to people." Rallis laughed, then stopped suddenly and pointed an accusatory finger at me. "Wait, you wanted him?" She knew me too well. Well, so what? It was months ago, and it didn't pan out." "You took Lania with you, 'cause you thought she'd make you look good." Rallis narrowed her eyes. I met her gaze straight on. And how did you get Vyomi, huh, Mrs. Goodness? Oh, shut up, you, or I'll leave you at the table with Andik so you can listen to him whine for the next few hours. Sounds great, I laughed. You know that misery loves company. That's why I bring people bad luck. I don't want to be lonely. Also, your happiness is exhausting. Raleigh stuck her tongue out at me and we danced for a bit more, before I actually decided to join poor Andik over his drink. Jokes be jokes, but I did honestly feel a little bad for him. So here's the thing about weaving. Unlike in the normal marriage ceremony, there is magic involved here, which is why we needed to hire that certified wandering quack. The concept of weaving itself is quite drastic, not in the way of pain or harm, but its impact and meaning. It's eternal, in the most literal meaning of the word. Eternal and irreversible. The weaver takes small bits of two people's souls and swaps them or something like that. I'm not a specialist, so take this explanation with a grain of salt. Anyway, the souls basically become merged together. And that's it. You die and you're still tied to someone else throughout the entire afterlife, whatever it is, wherever you go, forever. Which is beautiful, and it makes death so much less terrifying. And yeah, sometimes we hear about people who say it's stupid or risky, or that love is too volatile to stand up to eternity. But it's usually those Karatanian bastards who live for a few centuries that have time to come to such conclusions. We here don't have that time. And also, love. Yeah, love makes you crazy. You do things you might regret. Big whoop. Worth it. The point being, though, to want to weave to someone, you gotta love them very, very much. You literally cannot have doubts about your love. And hence, it's the kind of love that can fuel the ritual. Yeah, baby. I can't stand to look at them. Andik dramatically pulled down the rim of his hat to cover his eyes. They are so happy, smiling, and my heart is a dark pit of emptiness and despair. He wailed into my face. My nose told me he was getting a little ripe, with the alcohol not quite helping the situation. But he was so sad. I couldn't just leave. They kiss, and their lips travel across one another's face, and I only remember the silky feel of Lania's lips on my face. It hurts me to see their love. Does that make me an evil person? Yeah, but it makes me feel better about myself, so there's that. I took a good sip of the cider. I am actually genuinely happy for them. Which is surprising. I thought I'd be bitter too. Is your heart a dark pit of blackness too, Irini? I'd rather not check, you know. Cheer up, Andik, you'll be fine. She wasn't that great. Lies, lies, everywhere lies, he bemoaned. Never again will I be happy without my Lania's lips exploring my skin on the hot Agnar nights. Hey, Irini? How about this? You and I sighed. You and I what, Andik? You and I together. I always thought you were hot. Yeah, you're kinda weird, but we're getting old and the pickings are getting slim, and you wouldn't be free if you weren't weird, so that's kinda fair. So how about that? I shook my head and patted him on the shoulder. And I'm not sorry for you anymore. I'll see you around. I got up and was about to leave, but halted my step to throw over my shoulder. We'll see you around. Me and my man. Tomorrow, Foxven will meet my soulmate. My mysterious exit would have probably had a bigger impact if Andik's eyes didn't travel around in the search of the real copy of me, but it would have to do. The glimmering feast would last for several more hours, but the weaving would come soon, and I had to get my final preparations done. The last evening of the curse. I took a deep breath, and the air already seemed fresher.